For I have come to set a man against his father. Happy Father's Day! I read this and I had to laugh and think about, wow, what a reading for this cultural Sunday in our community of Father's Day. Yet there is so much in this. It is hard to hear at times. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. What are you talking about, Jesus? But there is this consistent theme throughout Matthew's gospel of fear not. This, at a very broad brush, this gospel reading is about discipleship, about following Jesus. And I think when we think about following Jesus, oftentimes we think kind of in very kind of Hallmark card terms. We kind of love to romanticize the idea. And yet, in reality, following Jesus is not always easy. It reminds me of a time early in my life about the cost of discipleship. If you want to read an incredible book about that, it's actually the title. Dietrich Bonhoeffer wrote a book called The Cost of Discipleship. It's an excellent book. And so, but this idea of the cost and what does it mean, I think we tend to go, ugh, where in reality it is about freedom, true freedom, freedom that kind of leads to life. In our Romans reading, we heard the very last line, may we be dead to sin and alive to Christ. What does that mean? It reminds me of this story that when I told this to the Thursday morning crew not that long ago, but it kind of comes up again. And I said, oh my gosh, I was about 24 years old. I was a youth minister at Good Shepherd Episcopal Church in Jacksonville, Florida. And I had a meeting with a mother of a daughter of a young one in my youth group. Mom was not happy. And she went up one side of me and down the other as a 24-year-old. And I felt terrible because she was really upset because her daughter was really struggling. And in many ways, I was just the target of a lot of energy. But it didn't feel good at all. And I met with my rector at the time, Jim Daniels, and I told him what happened, and he listened, and he talked with me, and he said a couple things. One thing he said is, listen to her truth. There may be a lot of stuff that's not yours, and that you just need to let go like a duck, like let it roll off. But there's something that you can hear in this that is truth, that you can change, you can absorb, that you can hold on to. And I've never forgotten that. That when somebody, even with a lot of energy, even when it may not all be yours, there's something there that I can learn from and that I can use to be a disciple. And then he got up to walk out, and he turned and he goes, and Rob, remember. And this phrase has haunted me since he said it, and yet still spurs me on. He says, remember, Rob, what other people think about you is none of your business. What? What other people think about you is none of your business? And I thought about that, and I've thought about that, and I've thought about that. And it's hard, isn't it? Can you imagine? And it doesn't mean, I don't care about you. It means that the court of public opinion does not make your decisions. It's actually what leadership is all about. This does probably age me a little bit, and maybe this crowd won't know what I'm talking about, but when I thought about what I was going to say this morning, I just thought of a Spike Lee joint, Do the Right Thing. It's a movie way back, just so you know. But it's about doing the right thing, and that is what discipleship is about. Do the right thing. Now that sounds really simple, but I do think that as we work through our life, I think Jesus is talking about discipleship is hard. If you do the right thing, you won't always be popular. You might have arguments with your family. You might have conflict. But don't be afraid, because I am with you. I know all the hairs on your head, which used to mean a little more, but you know what he's getting at. He knows me and loves me. And so this work of discipleship, what if just for today we said, hey, I'm going to pay attention to that heart of doing the right thing. Because that work is, I believe, really intense, good work. What does that mean? There's all these cliches in our society, like what's the softest pillow is a clear conscience. Those type of things. And yet there is excruciating pressure to do this. What does everybody think? That's one of my favorite definitions of politicians, and please know I have really good friends that are in politics, and so I'm not being cruel. But a politician's job is to lick their finger and see which way the wind's blowing. And it's our job as the people of the world to direct and sometimes change the wind. But as individuals in our lives of following Jesus, it's not about the court of public opinion. I believe that, as Martin Luther King Jr. said so beautifully, that the moral arc of the universe bends towards justice, that we know right from wrong. There may be some exceptions, but we know. And where do we draw from the confidence to act on that? I hope we draw from our community of faith. I know I do. You all give me confidence to stand in the need of prayer, because Lord knows I need it, and to try to look in the mirror each day and go, do the right thing. And to be clear, I make lots of mistakes. I disappoint people. I disappoint myself. But I really do seek to make my mistakes in the right direction. I think about Micah. Walk humbly with God, do mercy, and love justice. Getting that kind of right. But it's mercy, justice. So I want to do my walk humbly with God. I want to make my mistakes towards humility, not towards arrogance. I want to make my mistakes towards mercy, not judgment. See where I'm going? See where I'm going with this? It is a process of living. Remember the Titans? See that movie? I'm going to spoil the end of it, all right? Are you okay with that? It's worth it, I think. It won't ruin the movie. Just go, if you haven't watched it, it's worth it. It's about a football team back in the day in the South, and the coach gets named, and they put together black guys and white guys to play. And the white coach gets passed over, and Denzel Washington plays the black coach that takes over. And if he would have lost a game, he would have been fired. But the white coach gets an offer at the end of the year from one of the boosters that basically says, if you throw this game, you'll get into the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame of high school football, which, Around here, you go, whatever. In the South, that's just below Jesus. All right? And so he doesn't do it. He does the right thing. And that's where that phrase comes in about those who save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life will save it. I believe that is a great example, because that night, that man went to bed and slept. And as we age, we know how rare that is. And he slept the sleep of the just, not of arrogance, but of saying, I did the right thing because I knew what the right thing was. Now, whether it's a business deal or a relationship with a family member, we know the right thing. And if we can kind of draw on the courage that we are the beloved children of God and that our life is ours to save, we can heed that great advice and warning. What other people think about you is none of your business. That does not mean a lack of care. It means actually leaning in to God's love for you and for others. So as we think about following Jesus, let us move away from the idea that it's just all kind of like, yay, because it's good. But there is some hard realities. We have to make good choices in our life, day by day, moment by moment. And the great news is we don't do it alone. So pray for me. Pray for me that I will resist the urge of, and I don't know if you have this voice in your head or not, but I do. It's why I go to therapy every other week, is so that this voice doesn't take root. I just want people to like me. You know that voice? Maybe you don't have it. I have it. And what I have learned that is not helpful to this discipleship business. What I have learned is that it's a lot better, especially in my role as your rector, to be respected than liked. And it also allows me to sleep a lot better at night when I do what I believe is the right thing, even though it may disappoint people. That is not easy. So again, I ask for you to pray for me that I will not lose heart, that I will not lose my nerve. And know that I pray for each of us that we will receive the good news of Jesus Christ into our lives and then go out these doors and do the right thing with courage, with love, with mercy, and with justice. Amen.